Nestled high in the mountains above Falkreath lies Shriekwind Bastion. This dungeon towers over Falkreath. If you ever look around, you'll surely see the entrance just hovering above Falkreath. Hello everyone, this is the Army of Otters, and welcome back to Unexplored Skyrim. Today we're going to be checking out Shriekwind Bastion, which is a dungeon within Skyrim. And this dungeon, for me at least, has a lot of nostalgia because I remember as a kid when I first came to Falkreath, and I just saw it towering above Falkreath. It's very intimidating, and it looks quite scary. However, it's pretty easy to clear, but maybe it's a bit confusing because there are two entrances. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, as I was approaching, I found out a really weird thing in Skyrim. I never realized this before, but there are wooden carts often just kind of littered around the map. And I found out you can actually interact and push these things, but you cannot pick them up. But you can kind of just toss them around if you just run into them. And I just found it highly amusing. I know most people probably don't care and think I'm pretty weird, but hey, I thought it was pretty cool. Anyways, as we approach Shriekwind Bastion, we will be immediately confronted by a Draugr. I was actually quite startled by this. It made my heart skip a little bit. Don't know why. This is a very common thing in Skyrim. I just, for whatever reason, was not expecting that Draugr to just pop out of there like that. Then there's also a lot of skeletons around this place. Thankfully, skeletons are really easy to kill. And from here, we have this small hut where the skeleton was living with some candles inside. Don't know what purpose it has. And then we have a beautiful view overlooking Falkreath. Now there's one more Draugr just hanging around outside. I shot him with an arrow and he got very, very scared of me. I slowly crept up the stairs and shot him with a second arrow, ending his very tragic life. And of course he didn't have much on him in the way of loot. And then we can actually enter Shriekwind Bastion. Now inside, if you enter from the southern entrance like I did, you'll be confronted with a fork. You can go left or right. If you enter from the north, this dungeon is much more linear. So coming from this angle, you kind of have some choices. It's kind of a shortcut. Now as we open the rock, we can find some armor and a steel sword. It may be interesting, some environmental storytelling. Perhaps someone died there. Now, I really didn't know which way to go as I was entering, so I just decided to go right and, stick with it. Going right, we will find an iron door and some kind of like a natural part of the cave. Then we find like a little crypt, and this opens up into a very large chamber. And as I looked down below, I realized I probably went the wrong way, as this was probably taking me out of the dungeon, but I figured to go ahead and keep working with it. In here, there are several skeletons, and using a bow and arrow and some really bad archery skills, I was able to kill all of the skeletons fairly easily. Then I made my way along the path on the upper part, and I found this handle. Upon activating the handle, I activated the depths of hell, but the gate on the other side became open. I crouched my way over. Raya, just literally bulldozed her way through the flames with not a care in the world, and upon opening the iron door, we were confronted by a master vampire. This fight proved to be a little bit difficult. Raya was actually almost killed by the vampire, but eventually I was able to put an arrow and finish him off. And then Raya was getting back up. She survived, so that is good. Then we looted his body. Also, in this room, we can find a book that will increase our speech skill, so that's pretty good. And then behind the vampire is this kind of small crypt or chamber with a bunch of urns. And there's also a chest that had a flawed Varla stone in it, so that's pretty good. And then we can make our way up this spiraling staircase. And this takes us obviously to the top of the dungeon where we confront the final boss, which for me was just a restless Draugr. Now I was trying to kind of get a cool shot, and then the Draugr decided to wake up and to attack me, so I attacked him back. And he didn't even get a hit on me. He didn't shout, he didn't do anything. This is a very easy Draugr for this kind of place. Obviously, this is leveled, so depending on your level, it will be more difficult. I'm still a very low level, so it's very easy. Also, we can find a word wall, which contains a word of power, air, elemental, fury. So that's pretty darn good. Then on the Draugr, there was a garnet and gold and some other interesting things. Also, there is a potion on one of these pedestals. Now, I couldn't figure out if these pedestals actually do anything. I tried putting things on them, but nothing really happened. And then we have an exit, which takes us to the Shriekwind overlook. And this just leads us outside. Obviously, you could use this as a fast travel point. to get out of here quickly, but I just wanted to say the view from up here is spectacular. Absolutely beautiful. You get some really beautiful views of Lake Ilinalta and Falkreath. Now, heading back to the entrance from the southern part of Shriekwind Bastion, we decide to go to the left, and then we find a large torture chamber with a vampire's thrall inside that was promptly killed by Raya, which is really good for her. Thank you very much. I wasn't paying attention. At the base of this kind of throne, we have a ruby along with a flawless ruby. So that's pretty darn good. Kind of mixes in with the blood. This chain activates a fire underneath this cage, absolutely cooking whoever was in there. Kind of a terrible way to frickin' die. Oh my god. And then we come back into this large central chamber, which should be familiar from earlier. We have the dead skeletons that I shot from much earlier. Just kind of laying around. There was one more skeleton that did survive, so I destroyed him. I guess kill? Can you kill a skeleton? Or is it already dead? I don't know. Anyways, eventually you'll find this large room, kind of a natural room with some caverns in it. And there's kind of this middle pedestal with 3 handles on it. If you activate these handles, they will activate different doors within this room. This first lever or handle here activated this hidden wall on the left. You can see it opening as I absolutely fail at killing the skeleton with a bow and arrow. But inside of this small room, we can just find some armor, so not bad. I did take it because it is better than what I was using. Activating the next handle, and it will open another kind of hidden secret door. I honestly thought this one was going to open one of the iron doors. I did not see the hidden door, and then I took it and found more armor. Finally, I activated the last handle, and the door on the staircase opened up. The other door did not open up, so I knew there had to be another way to open up the door, and inside of this room, we see the other way. There's a locked chest, which contains random loot, and above this chest is 3 chains. Now, the middle chain just opens the door behind us into this room. The chain on the right opens the entrance, and the chain on the left opens the main door, the door which we came in. However, if you're doing this from the northern entrance of Shriekwind Bastion, the left chain will be important for you to progress through the rest of the dungeon. Now in this room, there's some hanging moss. Also, you can kind of see the outside with some light shining in through what appears to be some kind of well. And then this opens up into some kind of large central chamber. And there's a lot of blood and skulls on this kind of thing, maybe used for sacrifices of humans or animals. And there's some potions and stuff in here. There's also a chest underneath this kind of statue, which had some gold and healing potions in it. Also over here, we have this closet with all kinds of boots inside of it. And these boots are actually pretty cool because we can get some pleated shoes, which are quite rare within Skyrim itself. And also we can get a pair of fur-lined boots, which is also very rare within Skyrim. So inside this little closet, we can get 2 pairs of rare boots. So pretty cool. You can add it to a collection of shoes if you have one. And then this opens back up into that main central chamber. And at the bottom, we can find what appears to be some kind of trap door. But if you actually activate the handle, you'll notice that this cage doesn't open. Instead, this central platform below us raises up, and you are stabbed by spears that come flying out of the wall. Quite scary. Then we follow the chamber more through a crypt. There's a skeever, there's some skeletons, and we can come down here and we can see a bandit tragically met their end on this kind of trap. We have what appears to be some kind of sacrificial table and some, skeletal remains on it. If you activate this chain, it just activates the trap, raising the platform into the spikes, obviously. Then we have an iron door that is locked, and behind it was just a vampire, and we kill her pretty easy. And then inside of here, we just have what appears to be a kind of classroom or some kind of planning room. Not sure what it is, but there is a chest which had some minor random loot in it. And then we have the exit to the North Shriekwind Bastion, and we are back outside. And from here, this is the more proper way to enter the area. It's the more linear way, at least. But hey, I went the south way because for me, that's the most obvious way to go since it is overlooking Falkreath so prominently. Then up here, inside of this little bowl, I imagine it would be used for fire or something, we have some ancient Nord boots, a potion, and an ancient Nord war axe. And once again, ancient Nord boots are actually kind of rare within Skyrim itself. So hey, you might want to pick them up and add them to your collection of boots. If we travel even further up the northern part of Shriekwind Bastion, we will find a locked chest at the top underneath this kind of archway, which will have random loot. For me, there was a potion of pickpocketing, which I think is pretty good. And from up here, we have some pretty beautiful views of Lake Ilinalta. And there you guys have it, Shriekwind Bastion. Now, this is, as I said earlier, this is a location that is very nostalgic for me, so I'm very fond of this dungeon. Even if it's pretty easy, and even if the best loot inside is just some pairs of boots, I still think this is a very fun dungeon to complete. I really love the design and how, instead of going further down into it to progress through the dungeon, you go higher and higher up. And the view from the outlook is absolutely magnificent. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Unexplored Skyrim. I had a lot of fun making this video and exploring this dungeon. If you guys have any recommendations for a future location or just future video idea, please post them in the comments section below. There's a huge shout out to everyone who's been watching these Skyrim videos. I have a lot of fun making them, doing my best to kind of juggle 3 games, so I hope you guys are enjoying the content. And always, I am welcome to your advice or your criticism. I read every comment, so please let me know what you think. And, as always, until next time.